Thank you for joining us at Table Talk with Paula and Libby. With our host, Paula Arnold. Our co-host, Libby Patton. Tonight's special guest is Pastor Sharon Fridge of Frankfurt First Assembly of God. Our topic is human trafficking.
Well, welcome back. As always, I'm excited. But today I'm really excited because I have, Libby, my pastor on. And Pastor Sharon Fridge, and she and her husband, Ernest Fridge, they pastor Frankfurt First Assemblies of God. And I'm so blessed to have them as my pastor. So welcome, Pastor Sharon.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Nice. So why don't you just tell Frankfurt a little bit about yourself?
Okay.
Well, like she said, my name is Sharon Fridge, and I was raised in Texas. Moving here to Frankfurt was our first time to live outside of Texas, so this has been different for us to get to experience 4 seasons, so that's been fun. And it's been a great privilege to get to know the wonderful people of Kentucky. And all of our family still lives back in Texas, so we still make quite a few trips back home. But it's been fun living here. Since living here, of course, we pastor the church, but I've also become the Kentucky Assemblies of God Women's Director for the state of Kentucky. So I oversee all the women's functions for the state of Kentucky for the Assemblies of God. And we have women's conferences and retreats and luncheons and fundraisers, and we do outreaches and those kind of things. So that's been a blessing. I've so enjoyed being a part of that since living here. We have 3 children. Our oldest son just recently got married, and then our daughter is off at college. She's at Southwestern. She's going to a Bible college in Texas. And our youngest son is 16, and he's going to be a junior in high school at the Frankfurt Christian Academy. So we're just busy all the time.
Yes.
But it's a good busy, and we have a wonderful daughter-in-law. She's our worship leader at the church.
Yes.
And so we're just loving life.
That's good.
Living the dream.
Yeah, living the dream. But tonight we're going to talk about something, a subject that's really dear to your heart.
Absolutely.
And it is human trafficking.
Right.
And you work with an organization called Free International.
Right.
What does that stand for, Free?
Find, restore, embrace, and empower. And my journey, if I could just kind of maybe start back to where it started from, I have been involved in the human trafficking industry as far as my heart being attached to it for 16 years. I can remember, exactly where I was sitting the moment that I heard about it. We were having service, and a missionary came in and told us about Project Rescue and the children that were being captured and taken into human sex trafficking there in India. And my heart literally broke. And you know how sometimes you know that the Lord will bring a burden on you, and it's for a season. Mm-hmm. And then you know there are times when God breaks you, and you know this is going to be a burden for a lifetime. And I knew in that moment that that was going to be a lifetime burden for me. And my daughter was 4 years old, and I sat there in church with her sitting by me, and she has this big red bow in her hair and red patent shoes that matched. And I thought, here I am, the biggest concern about my daughter is if her bow and her shoes match. Mm-hmm. You know, and to think that there were parents out there wondering where their children were.
Yes.
And he told about how they were taking children as young as 4 years old, and they kept them in cages. And they would keep them until they were old enough, and old enough was 7,
right,
to start putting them into the industry. And my heart was just so broken. I laid over the altar that night and just sobbed. And I said, God, I've got to be able to do something. And we did not have a lot of extra income at that time. And so as far as just sending lots of money was not necessarily the answer. And me packing up and moving to India really didn't seem to be the answer. Right. And so I said, Lord, what can I do? And one thing I know how to do is I can bake. And so I started doing bake sales, and Walmart said for every dollar I made, they would match. And so wow. I did bake sales out in front of Walmart, and I made brownies and cookies, and I did that quite often. And so every time I made enough to hit $200, then I sent it to Project Rescue, and I just continued doing that. And so You know, in Luke it says that whoever can be trusted with little, that he will also trust with the big. And so I feel like because I was faithful in the little, you know, and I did the bake sales and I made the brownies, that the platform has become a little larger now. And so God has allowed me to be able to travel overseas and to be able to see it firsthand and to be a part of it and to do missions trips over there and to really get involved in that and to be able to go around and raise funds to help with the trafficking. And so my involvement in it has just continued to grow. And then I got involved with Free International because once I realized it's happening here in the United States, you know, once we thought it was only happening overseas and that was bad enough, and it doesn't make it any worse that it's here in America, but it has to be on our plate.
And I want to say
this. We must do something about it.
Right. I want to say this. I hadn't been at the church very long, and they put out that they're going on a mission trip to Vegas, Las Vegas, and I'm like, I'm thinking in my head for a second, what kind of church am I at? But let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, let's do.
You went out to
I had to get that approved by the presbyters.
Now, you went out to Vegas with Free International.
We did.
And there was a little girl,
yes. We went out there. In fact, I did a pre-trip because before you get up and, you know, present that before the presbyters that you're taking women from Kentucky to Las Vegas, you need to know what you're talking about. So my daughter actually is majoring in ministry there at Southwestern. She wants to do missions work with human trafficking with her, you know, lifetime. And so I took her with me, and we went over to kind of do some research prior to taking the big group. And so we were over there, and I mean, we hadn't been in Free International's office more than 15 minutes, just asking a few questions. They got a phone call, and there was a girl from Alabama that was missing, and her parents had gotten a phone call, and they knew that she was in a hotel right there in Las Vegas, and that they were wondering if Free could do something about it to help her get free. And so what had happened was she actually had been in the mall with friends and just having a good time, and you've seen this happen in many malls where they will have, like, you can do free photo shoots or whatever, and they'll do a modeling agency. And so what had happened is she had done that. She got her picture taken, just like 15, 16-year-old thinks it's a cool thing to do, and the modeling agency wants you. Well, they called her and told her that Playboy wanted her, and that they were going to pay her $1 million. And that if she would go, but she had to be there by Friday. And so this guy was willing to give her a ride to Las Vegas, but she couldn't tell her parents about it. And she came from a family of 13 siblings, and so they needed the money. And so she thought she was really going to be able to help her family out. And so she said, well, I'm only going to do it once, but just for the $1 million. And so she got in the car with him, and she said, you know, about 5 hours into the trip, he told her, this is what you're going to do, and this is how you're going to do it, and if you don't do it, I'm going to kill all your siblings. And, you know, so everything started to shift. Yes, and he had his 12-year-old son with him and had him watch everything, which he's just as damaged as she was. But in the midst of that, the father went to take a shower, and the boy said, this is about to get really bad for you. And he said, I'm going to let you use my cell phone for 1 minute. He said, call somebody that can help you. He said, because it's going to get bad. And I thought, how sweet, you know, that one that she called her parents, and they knew of Free International and that they were in Las Vegas. So they made that phone call real quick. And so they asked, do you want to be a part of this? And I said, yes, of course. I mean, my goodness, yes, of course. So my daughter and I went with them. We went over to the hotel, and it took some time, you know, working with the FBI ended up getting involved, and then you're working with hotel security and all this kind of thing. But got to see the girl come out, and when she came out of that room, it was like, oh my goodness. And she literally could have been any one of our daughters. You know, she had a Hello Kitty backpack and a pink stuffed animal, come walking out with her hair in a ponytail. She was about 14 years old, and it was like within 18 hours she was back home with her family. They had her on an airplane and headed home, and it was just like, what a miracle that she was saved just in the nick of time. You know, it was awesome.
I think that's why educating people is so important.
Absolutely.
And we know social media has gotten out of control. That's one way that young people are being targeted is through Facebook. I don't want to slam anybody on television. But it's true.
Yeah.
These social media sites are drawing these young people in.
Well, that's why we have to and I don't even have any children, but I've got nieces and nephews. You have to have some control over them and what they're doing.
Well, I think education is definitely what we need to focus in on, and so we have raised funds for school assemblies, and so that is something that I'm really targeting right now.
Good.
And so I have raised enough money to bring in the school assemblies for all of the schools in Frankfurt, and a few at Owenton and.
So you're going to be going to these schools?
The team from Las Vegas is going to come down. They do
that's good.
High energy, 3D school assembly. It targets bullying and also the sex trafficking, and it tells them to say something. Almost every child that is sexually trafficked, because a lot of times it will happen, and they actually come home in the evenings.
Oh, wow.
And some of them, there are some here in Kentucky that are being trafficked by their parents and their grandparents.
Oh, wow.
For drugs or for drug money or different things like that. And they will tell one person they trust. And if that one person would actually say something, it could save their life.
So I'm going to say this right now. If you're a child and you're out there and you're in this situation, there's going to be a number at the bottom of the screen that you're going to be able to call. You're going to be able to get help. Don't listen to what those people are saying to you, because there's people that want to come in, that want to help you, that want to get you back to your life. Absolutely. Even if it's your own family, they will help you get away from them and get with family members that care about you.
Absolutely.
So what happens, like if you are in situations where you're finding out that the parents or the grandparents are trafficking their children, do they go into foster care at that point? I mean,
or with the other family members that would be more trustworthy, absolutely.
Right, right. I guess that takes some time to figure all that out too. So they're kind of in limbo.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was doing some research on the internet, and I found that every 30 seconds someone becomes a victim to human trafficking of some sort.
It's hard to wrap your head around, isn't it?
It was kind of devastating for me.
Yeah.
Having a small child myself, because I thought, wow, it makes you not want to let them out of your sight.
Yeah.
No, and we don't live in the same world we used to live in.
No.
I used to be able to ride my bike around the subdivision, and we'd stay out till dark, you know.
You know, and used to other parents took care of you just like your own parents did.
Absolutely.
You know, but now you don't know.
You can't trust.
And I love what you have with your children, even the 360. Life 360, because you know, when I go and pick up her child, he comes sometimes and works for me. She knows exactly where he's at.
Which means I know exactly where she's at.
But anyway, that is a really good thing. You should get Life 360. But we're going to take a little break and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dan Luttrell, and we're having our third session of prayer for the Frankfurt Prayer Initiative, and this Monday, July the 4th, it's going to be at Crestwood Baptist Church on East Main Street, Georgetown Road. We will have you out before the fireworks start. Get there at 7. We'll finish before 8. Thank you.
Well, welcome back. You know, I just want to take a minute to let you know about the Life 360. I don't want to, it's not invading anybody's privacy. It's protecting your children.
Right.
And it's not anything like, hey, you know, I'm tracking you, but our children need to be protected. So, Pastor Sharon, let's move on a little bit and let's talk about an event that you did and I was involved in and some other people, but we went to the Kentucky Derby.
Right. We decided last year when we found out that the Kentucky Derby was a red alert on Homeland Security due to the amount of sex trafficking that had happened and occurred during the Derby of 2015, this is right here in our homeland, and we can do something about that. And so I immediately started talking with Jody and Lowell and some of the people there at Free International in Las Vegas and said, okay, what can we do about this? And I know that you do things at the Super Bowl level and that kind of thing, so what could we possibly do here in Kentucky? And so they said, well, we'll join forces with you if, you know, if you think you can get the people together. And I was like, oh,
And you had
we
more
can
people.
get the forces together.
She got more people together than what they had at the Super Bowl.
Absolutely,
And if I could
sure
interject,
did.
for those of us who don't quite understand what your mission was, because I didn't understand why were you going to the Derby? What happens at the Derby that would cause you to
Well,
want to go
it started on Wednesday.
Yeah. Well, what happens is, like at the Super Bowl, the same as at the Super Bowl, what happens is you have an influx of visitors that will come in, and a lot of them, you have a lot of men that will come in for the Derby as at the Super Bowl.
From all over the world.
From all over the world. And so the demand for prostitution, trafficked people, that raises. And so they start bringing in people from different cities, different
Maybe countries, states.
Yeah, they're from all over the place.
People are shipped in just for drug trafficking.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, in Kentucky, they say, well, they'll start taking children about a month out and start taking them and preparing them for that. They'll keep them away, and then when the Derby comes, they'll bring them to Louisville. So we had 13 children that were missing from Kentucky, and they had been missing about a month, give or take a week or so. And so we knew that they were going to be targeted for the Derby. And so we had a booklet made up with all of their pictures, and so we had that prepared, and we were ready to go looking for them. And that was our goal, was to go look for the girls and boys that were missing. We had several boys that were missing also.
Wow.
It's not just a girl thing. And so that was our goal in making this. And so, like Paula was saying, it was just incredible. We had 108 people involved, and I think he said had 33 involved at the Super Bowl. So they had 33 to cover San Francisco, and we had 108 to cover Louisville. So
And what people don't know is that the Derby, pre-Derby events start like on Wednesday.
Yeah,
so we would go up there, a group of people. You had to go for a little training. It really wasn't that much.
About an hour and a half.
Yeah. And then you would go up there, and just like we all went up there, and me and Lisa and Lynn, my two sisters, went off, and we would have pictures of children, and they'd be there. And the sad thing about it was some of the people, I'm just going to say, was just a little, they were dressed in their big hats and their big fancy clothes, and they were there to party and drink and have a good time. And some of them was rude. Why don't you tell the story about Cameron?
Well, some of them were more interested in getting to their event, than what we were doing. And I do think that probably some of them, when you're starting to hand out flowers, we're probably thinking we might want to sell them something. But it does have the picture of the missing kids on it. And so my 16-year-old, he is really a sweet, kind of laid-back kid. But he was pretty passionate because his mom's pretty passionate. Everybody has to be passionate in my home about it. And so my whole family was involved, you know, and except for my daughter that was down in Texas. But so he was down there, and he tried to hand the lady a flower, and she goes, no, I'm not interested. And he said, well, these kids weren't interested in being kidnapped either, so take the paper. And so when he said that, she was like, oh, okay. So that kind of changed the attitude just a little bit, you know, but it's true. How can you not be interested in the fact that we have children missing here in our own state? I mean, you know, these are our kids, you know, and how different would it be if that was your child missing?
Well, that's
and you would want everybody looking.
Right, and then when I was doing my research, I was like, how did I not know about all this? How did I not, because the emotions that flooded me when I was researching it, I was like, wow, this is incredible.
And it's just not girls. It was the boys, too.
Absolutely.
But while we were there, one little girl was found.
Yes, and we were so thrilled about that she was able to be home by Mother's Day. And it's like, what a victory, you know.
And several children were spotted.
Yes, and we had a lot of leads. We worked every day from Wednesday through Saturday. We started at 10 in the morning and worked till 10 at night. And so during the days, we would go to the hotels and like Circle K's and CVS and those kind of things, places where those kids would be, you know, maybe going in and out of. And we got great leads and information from these people that saw them multiple times and knew exactly, they knew what kind of vehicles they had left in. They knew what the people looked like that came in with them and stood at a distance from them. They knew some of the people at Circle K were so observant. They knew what they came in and what kind of things they purchased, what kind of drinks they
Wow.
got. I mean,
Right.
they were really on it. So the leads that we were able to give to the police were just phenomenal. I mean, the police were very pleased with what we were
Sure.
able to give them. We had license plates numbers on minivans and different things
Wow.
that these kids had been seen getting into. So,
And just
I mean,
give a
it's
little
just
example.
incredible.
We'll be showing a video
Sure.
about you, you handing out papers and just kind of what you said to people.
Well, once the one girl was found, it kind of shifted everything because, once we were asking people to help us, be on the look for them. But once we were able to say, we've already found one and we believe that we can find all the others if you could help us, everybody wants to be on a winning
Right.
team. And
Right.
so it's
That's
like,
inspiring.
oh, okay, yeah. When you feel like, well, we got 13 missing kids, they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. But when we found one and we want you to help us find the other 12, then it was like, oh, okay, yeah, I think I could do that, And so they were very excited about it at that point. But I just kind of took the opportunity to tell them and educate them for a short time. Of course, they're out there to enjoy themselves, and it's not like I wanted to be a downer, but I also wanted to bring awareness. And a lot of them that had small children were very quick to listen, and want to know more about it because
Sure, and what to watch for.
And a lot of people,
absolutely.
Libby, was like you. They
Yeah.
had no idea this was
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
No idea.
And so it was just the opportunity to bring awareness to them and let them know why we do what we do. And I actually had someone say, do you get paid for this? And I said, well, no, not
Yeah.
here anyway.
They didn't
But
have
it really
any.
wasn't about that. And, I've always said if my daughter was missing, I wouldn't want anybody to sleep.
I don't believe you'd let us sleep. We would be on there.
Nobody would be sleeping until she was found, And it's
Right.
like, that's how I feel. It's not my child, but somebody's child
somebody's
is missing.
baby.
Yes.
Absolutely. And if there's something I could do to make a difference and help her be found, then
Especially to
I feel
think
like
they may
I owe
be,
it to that mother to find them.
right, especially if they may be so small and they're entering in to have sex.
Yes,
That's
it's
what
just-
there
yes.
is. I've been told when I was talking to someone like in Texas, and this is so sad, like at the Derby or the Super Bowl, some rich person may fly in, a man, and be like, I want a 15-year-old that's 5'8" with blonde hair and blue eyes.
And who has never had sex.
And
right.
who's never had sex. And then they actually go out and they find that
that.
type of person to bring it in just for that man.
Right,
Wow,
absolutely.
that's
that
just-
happens
I can
more than
see
you
how
would care
people
to know.
would want to desensitize themselves from that because that's
Yeah.
hard. That's hard to hear.
Yes.
Right.
That would be.
But it needs to,
I know
be
it needs
heard.
to be heard.
And
Yes.
so we're this is
absolutely.
just one program.
Right.
I hope that you are going to come back, Pastor Sharon, and
Sure.
do more.
Absolutely.
You have about 2.5 minutes. So why don't you just look in the camera and just tell Frankfurt what else you want to know about this?
I want you to know that it's happening in Kentucky, and I don't say that to bring fear, because I don't believe that we are to live in fear, but we are to live in awareness, and I want you to be aware, and I want you to know that it's not just so you can be in the know, but it's because you can do something about it. One, watch your children.
Yes.
Watch, I would say don't let them take their computers to their rooms by themselves. Don't let them be on the internet like that. I take my children's phones at night and they are charged in my room because they don't need to have them at nighttime in their rooms. I mean, there are just precautionary things that you can do to safeguard your children, which their children may think, oh, you're being overprotective. I'd rather be an overprotective mother than a mother who's out there frantically looking for their child.
Right.
So do those kind of things, but also find a way to get involved in helping make other people aware. If it's just bringing it up in conversation, if it's getting involved in, you can, on Facebook, you can join different groups that are always bringing up the most current things that are going on in Kentucky so you can get connected to those. I think that the truckers are doing an incredible thing. They've had training, and the truck drivers, because so much happens at those truck stops, they have been able to stop a lot of it. So I am actually on their Facebook page because I love to see what they're doing.
That's
They have
good.
been able to stop so many of them, and so that's just exciting to see. So to be a part of those, and if you want to be a part in making sure that we're bringing awareness to the schools, you can help by raising funds for that and donating towards bringing the school assemblies in for the rest of the schools and assembly. I would love to see it happen in all of our middle schools and high schools because I want our kids to know. I want them to be aware. I don't want any of our children in Kentucky to walk into something blindly because we didn't do something to make them aware. So just saying, get involved. Now that your eyes have been opened to it, you have the obligation to do something about it. And so
That's good. So is this fair to say that if you're out there, if you're a church, if you want to get involved in this and you want Pastor Sharon to come and speak and explain to you what's happening and to educate you, I'm sure she will be more than glad to come. You can contact Table Talk. Our number will be at the bottom. And if you're out there and you're a child, or call the number on the screen. There will be someone to help you.
Yes.
And we love you.
Yes. God bless.